For us as oil men, it was the whole question of the future of Western dependency on Middle Eastern oil that was at stake.
We knew that the oil companies were going to put a stiff resistance.
We were talking about increases in 35, 40 cents a barrel.
So we asked for an increase in our prices up to $6 per barrel.
We felt that this is an opportunity to wrestle from the hand of the oil companies the ability to sit with us and discuss the prices.
Nervous Arab delegates kept tuning their radios to hear the latest reports from the battlefront. For them, the news was good. Overwhelmed and fearing defeat, Israel begged President Nixon for more weapons.
The United States wanted to see Israel resupplied, but it still wanted to keep its hand hidden. Henry Kissinger told me to persuade the Israelis to unload the planes at night, and we would only bring in American airlift under the cover of darkness. The airlift was launched somewhat later than we had hoped, and instead of coming down under the cover of darkness, the first U.S. planes began to drop down into Israel in bright daylight on Sunday morning under television cameras. It was a little hard under those circumstances to keep the American hand hidden.
The tide of battle turned in Israel's favor. As talks broke down in Vienna, the OPEC delegates flew to Kuwait City. They were barely off the plane when they took a momentous decision.
We came to Kuwait. The whole OPEC came to Kuwait to discuss what we can agree on in terms of OPEC. We met the first night and we decided on two things. First, a substantial increase in price. The next day we met as Arab oil producers to decide what we could do to support the Arab side in the conflict.
In the Kuwait Sheraton, Arab exporters agreed to carry out King Faisal's threat and unsheath the oil weapon.
The battle was going so much against the Arab side, and during the latter part of that war, it was inevitable that we would use whatever at our disposal to bring to the world attention the need to address and resolve this Arab-Israeli problem. And that's when we decided to cut back on production.
The Arab oil embargo caused panic and chaos throughout the West.
Well, I live down below here. I went to 96th Street, and boy, there's a line about a mile long. So I says, I'll never get to Monroe.
In America, gasoline prices leapt by 40%.
I understand only giving $4 worth, and that's not going to give me much driving.
Gas lines stretched for blocks.
For the Americans, the long lines at the gasoline stations, the sense of an imperial power being challenged by these people on the hinterland of the world. And suddenly people realize that their very lives and prosperity and conveniences depend on outsiders.
The embargo produced a great shock in the industrial world. We'd had a period of sustained growth since World War II. This was the most serious blow to the world economy at one specific moment that we had seen.
Though all but paralyzed by the Watergate scandal, the Nixon White House was suddenly forced to focus on the Middle East. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger embarked on a seemingly endless round of shuttle diplomacy.
Henry Kissinger used to say that he didn't know anything about any part of the world south of the Pyrenees. He didn't care about the third world. He didn't care about the Arab world. And he even told the Egyptians, he said, folks, I only handle crises when they're hot. Oil was hot, and oil brought him to the region. That's why he went. That's what the entire shuttle diplomacy was about, a way of ending the oil embargo.
The oil shock struck Japan. By December, oil prices had doubled again.
Facing the oil crisis of 1973, everybody in Japan sensed the country is in danger. Thus, his or her individual future is also in danger. So, something serious should be done to cope with the situation.
Naohiro Amaya became the moving force behind an extraordinary transformation of Japan's industrial strategy.
So far, the Japanese industry was heavily depending upon the consumption of oil. The Japanese government thought that the Japanese industrial structure should be reformed.
The move away from oil to a future based on computers and high technology made Japan what it is today.
The benefit of oil shock was tremendous for Japanese to wake up in the understanding of the importance of the information-oriented technology.
In the rush towards energy efficiency, the Japanese put computer chips to work everywhere, even in the most humble household gadgets.
Even the washing machine, now we have integrated circuits in washing machine. So even washing machine is not just like a muscle washing the material. Delicate control. So most of the things with control, that is the use of knowledge.
We are very poor of natural resources underground, whereas we are pretty rich of resources up here.
For Japan, the oil crisis proved to be a blessing in disguise. The success of today's fuel-efficient Japanese cars dates back to then.
Up until the early 1970s, Japanese cars were not a force in the world market. But when the oil crisis occurred, suddenly the emphasis on the part of people buying cars shifted from high performance and speed to fuel efficiency. And lo and behold, here are all these Toyotas and these Nissans and these Hondas that were just waiting at dockside in Japan, quality cars and cars with very high fuel efficiency. And they just moved in and captured markets in the United States and all over the world, and of course became a very powerful, if not dominant presence in the international automobile market.
The great oil shock laid the base for Japan's success today. The Japanese overcame their fear and pessimism. Cars, computers, electronics, and energy saving were to make Japan an economic superpower. Billions of petrodollars began to flow into traditional societies like Saudi Arabia. At the car auction in Jeddah, ordinary Saudis could afford to pay cash on the barrelhead. OPEC was now in the driver's seat.
New and vast wealth is now suddenly in the hands of the Arabs, and they had a sense that now all the things of the West, but not the ways of the West, mind you, just the things of the West, the machines of the West, the industries of the West, could be bought off the rack, and that all this could be the Arabs for the asking.
The oil exporters had earned $23 billion in 1972 total. By the middle 1970s, their earnings were upwards of $140 billion, a six-fold increase in their earnings.
Newfound pride brought with it a fresh determination to take